All right, welcome everyone to our live show today, The American Boss and the Digital Era. I'm so grateful to all the viewers and those that will watch this show at another time, those that have tuned in now, and most importantly to our wonderful guests who are here today. I know some of us have not joined us yet, but they will be joining us in a little bit. My name is Dr. Chi Styles. My government name is Edna Frenchwood. Don't call me Edna. If you see me outside, just say Chi Chi. That's my most comfortable play name. And I've had Chi Chi since I came into the industry in my 20s, and it just stuck. So I'd love to welcome Ambassador Osalo, who is our co-host today. And she's going to introduce herself. She's an ambassador to the United Nations, and she does incredible work with the youth and all over the globe in the space of cyber solutions, and also in giving back and helping women and children all over the world. Please welcome Ambassador Osalo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Edna. I call her Chichi, and I call her Sister Chichi. So I'm really honored to be here today, and I appreciate the fact that we're able to come together as one, promoting what will enable our future leaders be who they're supposed to be, but not just followers, but leaders. And thank you very much. I'm an ambassador to the United Nations. I'm an IT professional doing my PhD also in psychology and Christian counseling. I'm here because I just have to be here. Any good work that I'm called to do, I will do. As a peace and humanity ambassador, the first thing we need to do is show of love and concern to one another. There's no peace if there's no love. And my focus and niche it's on forgiveness for well-being. So for us to have peace, we need to learn first how to forgive. It's a process, but being able to live together as one, being able to work with the adage in Nigeria that says it takes a village to raise a child, then we have to learn to love so that we can learn to have peace. And I'm here once again to say thank you, and I'm ready to roll.
Awesome. I'm going to welcome Delano Johnson to please introduce himself next.
Yes. First of all, it's good to be here. I'm excited about the topic. To Ambassador Chichi, who's facilitating this amazing panel, and all the other professionals here. My name is Delano Johnson. I'm originally from the Bahamas. I am a visual communication specialist. I've been in brand architecture for about 30 years. I started out as a civil engineer and a architectural drafting and designer, and realized that there was this foundation needed within building a brand. We needed to actually walk through the technical sides of building a brand, thus the brand architecture. So I've been doing this for 30 years, work with about 200 of Fortune 500 brands, Coca-Cola, Microsoft, Apple. And so I've had an amazing run. What I'm focused on and just very, very interested in is how do we level the playing field when it comes to access to technology? But more importantly, how do we sustain and maintain our humanity while we enthrall ourselves into all of the bells and whistles of what AI can do? It's important to me that we remain human. And let's not forget that, prioritize that. So I'm a component and an advocate for organic intelligence, putting in check artificial intelligence.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. I'm so happy when Commissioner Andrews recommended you to be a part of this conversation.
Thank you. Yes.
Very humbling. He's an amazing, amazing leader in our community in Alpharetta, Georgia. I'd love to introduce Susan Trothnneck, author and coach. Please tell us who you are, what you do, and why this topic is important to you today.
This is awesome, Chi-Chi, to be here, and wonderful to meet everyone again. I believe I was in the room with the ambassador back in February or March at the UN, and this is great. I've been a music teacher. I'm now a worship professor. I'm coming into my last year of retirement, but I'm not retiring to do nothing. I'm retiring to speak into the generations about hope and about management. I teach. My second book, I'm getting ready, actually, my fourth book, I'm getting ready to write this summer, is about managing using a certain method where you work on the now, the next, and the new. And then my third book I'm working on right now is about hope, because we all need hope and we need a bedrock for our lives. But along the way, I've also owned a travel agency for 20 years, and I now have independent consultants around the world that work through my travel agency. And so I've really loved being an entrepreneur as well as a musician. And I'm finding the entrepreneurship author speaker really is thriving right now. And I'm enjoying this season.
Definitely. And you're the American boss. You're an example of the American boss. You're trying to do it all, have a 9 to 5, and then plan for what you'll do after retirement. I love that. And when I met Susan, she's like, when I retire, I'm just gonna go give back. I'm gonna take everything I learned, I'm gonna go give it to the world. And that is amazing to and how you're gonna do it through the conversation of digital, because everything's going digital is very crucial to what we're doing today. I'd love to introduce next Felix. Felix is all the way from Houston, Texas. Now he's in IT. He's been in IT for over 20 something years. I mean, he was in IT when we thought that the world was going to shut down in 2020 or 2000 or whatever. There's so many times we've thought, oh my God, computers are going to crash. Everything's just the lights will just go out in the whole world. So Felix, tell us who you are and why this conversation is important for you today. Felix, can you hear me? Felix, can you hear us? I think he's speaking, but...
Yeah, Felix, you probably want to check your mic to ensure that it's on.
Can you hear me now?
Here we go.
Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. All right, sorry about that. Thank you, Dr. Chichi, Ambassador Osalo. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this. My background is in IT, over 20 years of IT consulting, from a business intelligence perspective, and also from a leadership or coaching perspective, training new IT leaders and coaching IT entrants or people we introduced to the industry for the last 20 plus years. But at the same time, I'm also a spiritual leader, passionate in helping people to demystify a life in general, from work to life connection. One of the areas where I'm focused on in the recent times is in the Mind series, helping people to understand the simplicity of life and how to make things work for us in every aspect of our lives. I'm looking forward to sharing some of my background in IT and then also being able to learn more from the panel as well.
That is awesome. We're going to go right into it with our first question. So, how has digital transformation redefined the role of the traditional American boss? And anyone can take that question and answer. How has digital transformation redefined the role of the traditional American boss, at least for you in your industry?
Yeah. I'll take a swing at it first. Chichi, when we say the word boss as an entrepreneur, the connotation is I'm taking charge of my own life, my own finances. But in the context of corporate America within an organization, I think that the definition of that and the connotation of it is also changing, whereby, we're not really looking for authority, but more so authenticity. We're not looking for the person who's in charge, but the person who is dedicated to being in service. Deloitte took a study and that it produced a survey rather, and 75% of Gen Xers and millennials prefer leaders who are more like coaches. So I think we're going to have to contend with some of the nomenclature within corporate America, how we use words, because the industry is changing, because not only is technology changing the industry, but also there is this drive and this need to be more authentic, to be more human. So we have to bring this balance to ensure that even the words that we use is in alignment to where we want to go within corporate America. I hope that makes sense.
It does, because boss, the reason why I believe I chose boss was because you're responsible. It's no longer, what someone else, if you have a business, you are the boss of that business, and you
Right.
unfortunately have to take charge. No one's going to do it for you, even if you're the only employee. And if you do have to hire other employees, you will hear in the workspace, oh, my boss said, and most bosses are hiring people who are like them, people
Yeah.
who think for themselves. I don't really want to hire someone who I have to tell what to do 24/7. I need people who are going to take the job as their own. They're
Yeah.
going to own that position and say, I'm the boss of this department, even if I'm just moving mail.
Yeah.
And I'm moving mail so well that my boss looks good. That when
Yeah.
they ask about the mail department, they have the best mail department on the whole block, because I'm the boss of my department. And I think that's something we started seeing trend with bigger companies. Google, they want to hire people who think well for themselves, who did sports and track, who are responsible for showing up. I watched a clip where a thought leader said, when I look at a resume now, I want to see if they were a sports team in their teenage years. Because you know what? They know how to show up. They know what
Yeah.
to do. They know what training time is. You don't have to tell them, hey, be here at 5. They know to be here at 4:58 or whatever they need to do to make the job easy for the boss. They're the boss of that position, which is why we titled it that. And I love the fact that this day and age, we're no longer focused on that title. We're more focusing on people like Susan, a coach. Can you teach others as you are leading them? Susan, do you want to take a jab at that question on how you're utilizing the space of coaching to transform the lives of those that are following you or coming into your coaching program?
Susan?
Susan,
I'm sorry, my internet was just swirling. So did you ask me a question?
I did. I wanted you to take a jab because he talked about coaching, and coaching is now the new boss, right? People want, leaders or bosses that are like coaches who are teaching them. So are you finding that in your space of coaching others that you're dealing with having to lead people as you coach them, or what are some of the challenges you're facing there?
Well, some of the challenges, I love what y'all were talking about, and it reminded me of a book that I get my students to read, and that's Be the Unicorn, because it has 12 skills that I am helping to coach use in my coaching, and that is authenticity and being a solver. So, and I hope my internet is working because everybody's swirling right now.
It is working.
We can hear you.
But
Yeah,
being
I can hear you.
prepared. Oh, great. I will keep going. Thank you. Being a solver. And so a lot of my coaching is in helping people think through and solve problems. But as a boss, you want someone who, like, when they hear that there's a challenge, yes, give me the challenge. I want to solve it. And you want people who are prepared and self-aware. And so the self-awareness also is something that I coach a lot, because we seem to be all aware of what's going on our Instagram. But let's talk about what's going on the inside, and what is happening in our lives, and how we can be purpose-driven and productive. So this being a new boss and being coaching is really a lot of the soft skills. A lot of people have the technology, but they need these soft skills.
Awesome. Ambassador Salo, do you want to jump into the next question?
Sure. Um, What digital tools or platforms have had the most significant impact on leadership and decision making in the workspace? Any one of you can jump in and answer that question. What digital tools or platforms have had the most significant impact on leadership and decision making in the workspace?
Yeah, I can jump in on that. Okay. All
Go
right.
ahead,
So
please. Thank you.
yes. So there are several tools that and platforms that have reshaped our world, and we know that these tools have rapidly, come into our space within the last 10 years. For example, we have lots of decision-making tools like Microsoft BI, Power BI, the Google Analytics that is available to everyone at this point. There are communication tools as well, like Slack, Microsoft Teams, Zoom. Just 2017, Zoom became a thing. By 2020, it exploded into the space as well. And also project management tools as well for workflow and things like that. Especially in the last 5 years, we're seeing bosses that have moved away from the brick and mortar workspace to the remote workspace. So having these digital tools to support decision making, and then to help us connect just beyond just our cities, but to people across the globe, have really had big impact on leadership, and more is coming. And we're talking about in the next 6 months to 18 months, we will see a huge, change in the way we do business, especially with AI assistants or your personal assistants that will be mostly digital. Means that each of us will train and will work for us, and we can interact and connect with each other across the globe.
So I have a question to ask you based on your
Yeah.
answer. Since each individual American boss or coach should sort of be creating their own platform, right? For their own
Right.
community. And I know Facebook page and some of those things are working. What are some of the recommendations? Because people can now build their own software, apps. What are some of the best ways an individual or a business owner can build their community, where they can either build their subscription bases or build their followers that can help them build wealth, assemble the right people in the room, close sales, high numbers? What are some of those, the better tools to use? Will be my question. The better digital tools to use for that you see being beneficial in the future, in the near future.
Just to piggyback on what Delano said earlier, being human means that we have to continue to learn and support each other. But at the same time, we have to realize that there's so much transformation. Whatever tools I'll mention now would have changed in 6 months, or things will come up and change it. But what we have at this point, at least within our fingertips, is tools that would help us to learn. The first thing I would recommend the first tool I recommend for everybody is the right mindset. It's not a physical tool; it's a digital. It's a like Susan said earlier. It's a soft tool that would encourage us to be open to new changes. So the first tool everyone needs is the right mindset to continue to learn, because the changes are going to be very rapid in the 6 to 18 months time. So what tools? The tools that we mentioned Zoom earlier, we mentioned Slack, and now there are even newer tools. But whatever tool you find within your space, some people may not be have access to the tools that we mentioned here earlier. But if you are in a far distant land, whatever tools is available within your space to learn, to improve your business. So you have to learn about the changes that are coming and learn about your industry as well, and use GPT or any AI assistant. Just interact with those things. And we want people to be not to be afraid of these tools, but to be open to them. And that's why I'm not mentioning any static tool at this point. Just being open to learn, being open to seeing what different industries are doing per time, because within 3 to 6 months there will be newer tools, and all of these tools is geared towards making us hopefully more human. And let me also add this: if with the right mindset, you can position yourself to see the best in all these tools. We want to discourage people to from seeing AI as a negative or these new tools as negative. But with the right mindset, every new tool or every new technology will help you. So even something as simple as Excel, helping you to manage your business as a boss, even as simple tools as whether it's Slack or whether it's Microsoft Teams. These are some of them are free of charge. They'll help you to collaborate with people across the globe and learn.
What tools are you using, Mr. Johnson, in your space that you see has helped you with your business?
Yeah. So specifically to the question about how do we now onboard our community to tools and platforms that we control. In other words, we control the data, right? We have access to that data. We can utilize that data to perform services to our community. One of the most important ones for me, and there's a lot out there, but I think Go High Level is an all-encompassed tool, but it's also a platform. So you can grow and scale from, I think they came up maybe about 7 years ago, perhaps they started, and they continue to add modules and adapting to their customers' needs. So it doesn't matter where you are and what you need. There is a plugin for that. There was a running joke back in my IT days that whatever you need, there's going to be a plugin or an app for that. So I think that's really good. Notion obviously is extremely important to managing your ability to make ideas flourish and to make great decisions when you look from a team perspective. But then again, there's also School out there, which is another platform that allows you to build your own community, get feedback right, on the spot, to be able to have posts where you make general posts and inquiries to your audience and get response immediately. So I think those things are extremely important. But if I could just digress to this small little fact here, I think when it comes to these tools that we're using, and I want to echo what my brother just said there. Human intelligence is the most important aspect to using any tool. For example, we have ChatGPT. I didn't want to go ahead and say, but ChatGPT, if you ain't on ChatGPT, you ain't human. I say, right? The downside to that is that if you're on ChatGPT, I will dare say that you are becoming less human. Now, I don't want to get in trouble, but
Canceled.
or canceled, right?
Oh, yeah.
But at a certain point in using this tool, it's a tool, I realize that my knee-jerk reaction to coming up with an idea from some prompt, something I have to do, something that an opportunity I saw, my first reaction is to go to ChatGPT. I bypass my own cognitive ability to think and to rationalize and to come and to ideate from the information that I know, not using it as to help me to extend what I did just now, what I thought just now, but as the platform from where my idea should spring off or start. That is problematic. That is where we need to more consider the operations of organic intelligence as opposed to artificial intelligence.
Ambassador Osalo, I want to ask you, because with what he just said, at the UN, the whole goal of the sustainability plan for the United Nations, for the world, and their digital footprint they want to have by 2030, was this part of the plan where there's a dependency on digital to help children with school? You teach, and are you finding that to be problematic? Because the teachers are using it, the students are using it, and how do we answer to that? Or is there a solution for that? Or how did the UN plan? Did they plan for the results they're seeing right now with how everyone's using ChatGPT without thinking about it?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. When the UN makes a plan, they're not making a plan based on knowing what's going to be the new innovation. They just know that something is going to come out that's going to be new. Will they know if ChatGPT will be here as at the time it came up? No. But the whole focus is, as far as technology is concerned, when we're talking about the sustainability goal, is whatever technology is on ground, everyone should have opportunity to know, learn, and know how to use that technology. Bring everybody along. That is the focus. It is not to determine what is coming in future. The determination is whatever comes in future, how do we prepare the people? How do we prepare the individual? How do we prepare all those that are involved and those that want to be involved? How do we prepare them to be part and parcel of it, knowing the benefits and also knowing, like just knowing the pros and cons. But the most important thing is carry everyone along, make available funds for anyone that wants to learn so that they learn. Because if it's there and nobody is learning, or a couple of people just have the ability to learn because of the funding and others are not able to, then the purpose is defeated. For whatever technology comes up, the innovator will want the whole world to know how to use it. And in knowing how to use it, that is when they're able to go back to the back end and fix whatever will cause any kind of damage to the individual. AI is perfect, AI is good, and I'm using the word perfect in the sense that though imperfect, it can be made perfect. It's a progress. So I'm looking at some youths that I spoke to recently. The issue the parents had, because it was a combination of parents and youths, because it was a parenting parent seminar. So the kids are telling their parents, oh, some of you don't know how to use these tools. The parents just hand over the phone to them, search this for me, I need this. And the kids just go get it for their parents because they don't want to use the old school. It's like, Mom, why are you trying to do this way? This is the best way to do it now. And the kids are doing it, but the parents are not learning. But if the parents don't learn it, how do they know what is in there that is actually not good for the children? So in parenting the parents, bring in the parents to learn some of these tools. They don't have to learn it to help them in their jobs, because some of them are stay-home moms. Wonderful, wonderful place to be. If you're a stay-home mom, there are things you need to know, because you need to be able to guide your children with what you're doing. You're the best mom in the world. You're the best parent in the world. But the tools the children are using need to be known. So when UN comes in, is you all need to know this. But when the funds are not there, UN goes out, bring in everyone and say, how do we fund projects for different communities so that everybody has access? What are the loopholes in this thing? And how do we make sure when it comes to the cyberspace, what are the auditing tools put in place? What are the protocols put in place? What are the controls put in place? So that things that kids or youth are not supposed to see, or the parts that is dangerous to the community, how are they being controlled? All those is what the UN is concerned about. Safety in the cyberspace and knowledge for all. Thank you.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for that answer.
Dr. Chichi.
Yes.
Like, there's something that Masada said that really struck a chord positively in me, and I just want to highlight it, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
Yes. So as part of a leadership team, we get to talk to on a weekly basis CEOs that are creating emerging technology, at least 4 to 6 of them every week, and there's a reason why if you notice that I focus on people's mindset. So, she said something new is coming, and that is the mindset of the UN. That's the mindset we are teaching everybody. Don't be focused on one tool or the other tool. Just because if you listen to the CEOs, you would hear things that are coming and you'll be amazed that, well, in 6 months from now, all of these things we mentioned will be obsolete. So that mindset is what we want to encourage people to have, to be courageous. Knowing that new thing is not a bad thing. Because if you have a mindset that's, oh, this is bad, you will not be able to learn. Actually, in our community, we want to encourage people to be courageous to learn. to engage themselves, to allow themselves to imbibe these things that are coming down the pipe, and then be able to transform their homes, their lives, their families, their communities through improvement and knowledge in these areas. The right mindset is the first key. And that's what UN is telling us. It says, remove the boundaries, remove the shackles, and let people come in. And so what UN is doing and what we are doing in our leadership team is to make sure that there's safety in our space. So that when you walk into a place, for example, if you go to a Google Play Store or Apple Store, what they do is make sure that there are no bad players. That when you go in there, you can use the tools and learn. That way you don't say, okay, I have this tool I love, but I don't want to use this tool. Just go in there, be courageous, be full of life, and learn.
You said something about safety. I'm gonna jump into the next question with that. Do you believe that digital surveillance tools like productivity trackers empower or erode leadership, and how should ethical boundaries be drawn? So you say safety, and you talk
Yes.
about safety in that space, but at the end of the day, a lot of the things we use digitally track how we think, our thought process, what we do. I can put in my name in ChatGPT now, and ChatGPT will look up all these things about me, tell me things. Even we use the little Amazon Echo, and some of the kids I work with, they won't use it. They're all like, it's monitoring me. It knows what I'm doing. I could say something to someone about Netflix, and when I open my phone, a Netflix ad will run on YouTube. So I just think that it's a topic we need it, but how do we draw those lines? And when we talk about safety for individuals and for business owners.
From my experience or from what I've observed, the tracking tools can be both good, and it can both empower and also can erode at the same time. But and that's why we talk about the guardrails, the safety guardrails to prevent bad actors. For example, we understand that the cookies and the different tools within our phone listen to our conversations, even as we're having this meeting, as long as your phone is turned on, or even some cases turned off, right? And that means that you can have a conversation about just something very simple, and in a few minutes you see ads about those things on your phone, right? So, but the whole focus for us is to make sure that those who are coming in don't use those things for the wrong reasons. Now, from a team building point of view, I would encourage it to be used for communication, to learn more, because the workspace is changing. Even as bosses, the workspace is changing. So we're moving from micromanaging to, like you mentioned in the beginning, to empowering people to be bosses, even in their workspace. So everyone is a boss, everyone is a leader. That the surveillance tools is to help us to make sure we are all in sync, not to divide us.
Yeah. Can I just add to that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Harvard Business Review had a study that showed that 67% of all employees who are digitally monitored experience high level of stress, and here's the kicker: lower levels of loyalty. I think if we're driving, it depends on what the organization is after. If you are organic intelligence minded, understanding that these tools could become a little automatonic, right? In nature, right? We're extracting some of our humanity out for the end result, for the end goal, for the data, for the information, for the productivity. But I think at a certain time, what that study showed me is that at every level, we still want to feel and be human. And it is important for us to define that in the workplace, right? Amongst the productivity drive. Yes, we're driving. If you're in a company, you're there to drive revenue. That's why you're there, right? GDP is important to the country, just as, a balance sheet is to a corporation. So, but at the end of the day, how can we find the balance where I'm not trading my humanity? I mean, if I don't have loyalty for the company I work for, it doesn't matter how much you track me, I'm not going to perform at best. So I think finding ways to bring balance, and that's going to be the operative word here as we discuss anything to do with the technology. And that is, how do we come to an amicable balance?
So does anyone want to take that question? Susan, how do we come to balance? How are you coming to balance with
Right.
how you are utilizing your programs, and or are you doing that at all? Or is that something that will eventually you'll evolve into doing?
Well, I wanted to share an experience, and I want to be very transparent with this because 15 years ago I was hired, and I wasn't a newbie 15 years ago, but I was hired by an organization, and my immediate manager that I reported to, a little bit after I got into the job, maybe a month or so later, said, "Hey, just blind copy me on every email you send out to the company through the company." I was like, "What? Did you not read the resume? Do you not have trust for me?" I felt very disrespected and very unseen, and it does affect your loyalty. I had to check my attitude and know that God expected me to work my best, and He would hold my boss responsible for how I was respected and treated. But I needed to do my best work. So I did. But that experience has made me very sensitive to the tracking and the surveillance and the respect that we give to others in the workplace. And as we coach them and whatever we do, to be very upfront with, if you're going to hire someone, and you need to, in the interview process, these things need to be discussed. And it's not, you need to ask that company, are you going to be tracking me? Are you going to be surveilling my work? We need to have these conversations. That was a
Yes,
difficult
absolutely.
experience to go through.
Ambassador Salo, you teach kids. Are they asking this question, or do they feel like they're safe when they're talking about cybersecurity? What are some of the challenges you have with youth that, they are our future? So in the future, what they learn today from cybersecurity, what it is and what it's supposed to be or not. Someone in the group, excuse me, said choice and ethics. Give people the power of choice. Dr. Adesha joined us from
You
Houston,
just nailed it.
and the enforcement of ethics. So
Yes.
tell me a little bit about how that you're facing those challenges with the youth as you teach cybersecurity in the school in North Point.
Actually, Dr. Shay just answered the question, choice and ethics. And what the kids talk about right now is we have a right to our privacy. So we should be informed, just like professor just said, we should be informed if we're being tracked. We should be informed we have a right to know whatever tools or surveillance tools you're using as far as the environment that we are. They need that right. Even at home, some parents put some gadgets at home just to monitor kids in case they are not home. The kids have a right to know. And once you're monitoring somebody, we're talking about ethics. Ethically, it is right. It doesn't matter if it's a young adult or an elderly that you're doing. People have a right to know if they're being monitored or not. And the one of the issues we had in class when we're showing the kids how to set their phones and all that, one of the kids asked, "Why is it not in the manual when you get a phone that you have a choice? These are the settings you have if you don't want Google to monitor you, if you don't, that those things to them, that is something that their representatives should be talking about. Indicate what is on the phone and how to use it, especially when it comes to surveillance, especially when it comes to ethics and the rights of the person purchasing that application. The whosoever is buying needs to be educated. And that's the thing they have been hiding. Most times you're not educated about something, you just buy it, you're using it, then you go online and somebody's talking about it. That's when you even realize, oh, there's this app in this thing that you're using that is monitoring, and you don't want that to happen. Yes, the youths ask, they ask those questions, they actually drive it back home, as in, we want our rights. It's a digital world, we agree, but we want our rights. When we're on Facebook, we want our rights. When we're on YouTube, we want our rights. When we're on TikTok, we want our rights. We need to know from home to the outside world what we are using, why it's being used, and how we ourselves can manage it when we don't want it to be used in an environment.
So I want to add to this particular topic, and I'm glad we're spending some time on this, because recently, I don't know if you guys know, CapCut is an editing software you can use to edit. And recently, it grants the app, it's now public, grants the app the ability that anything you ever upload and edit on, they can use it even if you've switched off your account, you've turned it off, you no longer use the account anymore. They hold a perpetual, worldwide, royalty-free, and irrevocable license to use, modify, distribute, include it for commercial purposes. This license even applies to content that is not publicly published and persists even after account is deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone want to speak on that?
Yeah, but and that's why we are encouraging, or we from Mindspace, we are supporting the Web3 movement. The Web2 world, this is possible, right? And so the Web2, and for those who are not familiar with Web2 is the internet age from dial-up all until let's say the last 5 years, right? So Web3 is blockchain, where the ledgers or the ownership of data it's back to the people. So in the Web2 world, these companies will be phased out. So they don't move me, even if they keep it perpetually for forever and ever. The Web3 world will eat up the Web2 world. Now, so what it means is in the Web3 world, in the blockchain world, people would own their data. Identity will change forever. And that's what we want to encourage people to. And we, in trying to onboard people to the Web3 world, we're encouraging them to learn about digital ownership, surveillance, because surveillance should be like Pastor Shay said earlier. The rule of thumb is it should develop people and protect them. And so in the Web2 world, these things were allowed, whether it was in the case where it was your emails or whatever. Ownership now goes back to the people in the Web3 world, and that's what gives me courage. So we're looking forward to a world where people would have power to own their data, own their art. IPs will be now in the hands of the developer. IPs will be in the hand of you, Dr. Chichi, no longer the person's software, and that movement is continuing. And let's continue to learn more about Web3 world, and then start to onboard ourselves towards that and grow accordingly.
But let's go back to even the tech itself, the phone. I recently found out that if ICE stops you, and it doesn't matter what you've deleted on your phone ever, if they want to find any conversation, pictures, anything, there's something they can do to your phone that can bring back everything you ever thought you deleted. So technology, are you talking about that is a Web2? Because the system itself we use, the phones we use, has already captured enough for each individual to have issues potentially with the law, with things they've either said, what they've recorded, what they've documented on their phone. And that's one thing. Then, of course, secondary, if I own everything, if CapCut takes my stuff, I'm a content creator, I don't make any money from what I own. They own it. They can come back and say, we own that stuff. We want something. And I want to monetize and build wealth from what I own. But if I put it on my phone, whether I delete it or not, legally the country can come after me and siphon. They can go through it and take what they want and demand it. Meanwhile, we're in a space where other companies can own it actually. So how do we actually get to the place where we own this stuff and we're safe?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
If I can weigh in on that here, I think this is not only a very. Can you get? I can go ahead. Go ahead, Doctor. If you want to go.
Oh, I wasn't speaking. I think it was Susan.
It was Susan.
Susan, if you want to go,
Am I buffering in and out? I don't want to interrupt here.
No, you're good. I can hear you.
Quick,
so go ahead.
I use an organization called Instant IP, and I bought a package, and it's our entrepreneur professor in the area who created this. And the minute I have an intellectual property idea, I just go into the website, I document it, and it blockchains it, and it protects my ownership. I just wanted to let people know there are organizations out there that you can do that with.
And what is it called?
I think she said Instant IP.
Instant IP.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. I'm going to put that in the chat. IP. Okay. Delano, what were you going to? Yeah. IP. Okay.
Yeah. So I think John Hope Bryan wrote an article in Time after the passing of the previous Pope. And it was around his benevolence, which seemed to surpass anyone before him. And what he echoed was a sentiment based on this here. And it was, capitalism is a wonderful tool, but like every tool, it can be abused. And he talked about predatory capitalism. So it is the foundation of predatory capitalism that would say, let us bury the legal rights of every user so far down. And I'm in branding, so I understand the psychophysics that go into not convincing someone to buy, but making them buy. Years ago, it was, let's encourage them to buy. Let's give them an option to buy. Now, companies are really prophesying sales. They're not they're not predicting sales anymore. They're prophesying it. And if you prophesy, some of you are spiritually minded and upon the word, you understand that in order to prophesy, you have to control the beginning and the end. So I think companies bury the legal protection that we do have, which now place on us. The onus is on us to become informed consumers. Number one, when you buy, and here's an idea, here's a noble idea. You can use ChatGPT to filter through all of the red tape and all of that whole long list of what is supposed to be your rights or their rights, and put in specific prompt and keywords so that it can float to the top and pronounce all of the things that's not beneficial to you. So I think if there is this responsibility for us to be more understanding of what is our rights, our intellectual property as humans. I'm going back to this now, artificial intelligence versus organic intelligence. It's also our creativity. So now you owned my creation. I think it was Pixar who just recently sued Sorrow because it has been borrowing said style of animations. So I think that as we see corporations now looking at, hey, how do we maintain our creations? I think this is a cue that we have to follow suit and to really study when we purchase a product. We cannot be 100% consumers. We have to be educated, knowledgeable consumers.
So that leads me to trust and accountability. our one of our viewers and our media partner, Pubble Studios, Dr. Adesanya Omali, said a couple of things here in the chat. I'm going to read out. Choice and ethics. You know, we need to give people the power of choice and the enforcement of ethics. It's also in the fine print, which she was, you know, speaking in terms of, you know, what Ambassador Salo was saying, where things are written in a place where you actually have to find it and read it. Privacy policies, all those things are very important, you know, to be able to make sure you have a live document that continues to change. Maybe what people have to put on their sites, because then if you put it on your site, it continues to change the narrative and allows people to understand where you're going with the information you're providing your site, how you're protecting yourself and others that come to your webpage. He added, finally, unfortunately, the corporation puts all this info just to protect themselves legally and not for the interest of the users, which Susan spoke about. So we have these companies that are doing things not for really the interest of them. We are American bosses. We own our own brands and companies. And are we creating spaces that are not for the interest of the people we're inviting to come in? Is that what CapCut did? Is that what many of these other companies are doing? Google being sued for, you know, interfering with your incognito page. And I maybe want you, Felix, to take this since you have 20 years experience in IT. And I know you talked about Web3 being that next phase, but how do we then trust technology so that we can truly partner with it to build wealth? How do we trust it? How do we trust the solutions that are there to help us grow with tech?
In the post 2020 world, digitally transformed workspaces, they focus on fostering trust and accountability. So it's moved away from the traditional walking the floor, you know, checking on who's there and what they're doing. And we're moving now towards, you know, clarity, credibility, and consistency. And this is how we can be effective going forward. The first thing is, you know, to build trust, you know, we have to build trust through radical transparency. This is what Professor Susan and Ambassador said earlier. We have to be transparent. Everyone who is, you know, whether it's a tool, and this is what the tools that are coming up in 3 to 6 months will do. Radical transparency will lead us, or we will be the leaders in the tools that we'll be using going forward. And then we have to shift from presence to performance. So as American bosses, it's not about, you know, were you there 9 to 5, but, you know, how are you performing within our budgeted time and space for the work you're doing?
Yes.
And then we have to also move from, you know, model of accountability. We have to be top down, you know, making sure that we are modeling humanity, we're modeling kindness, we're modeling, you know, mindfulness in our workspace, so that people, because people would gravitate towards, like what Delano was saying, based on the studies we are seeing now, is that people, when they trust the organization or they trust the tools they use, they become ambassadors of those tools and the workspaces, right? And then we have to create psychological safety. And this is very important, and as we're discussing tools and also American bosses. And then we have to make sure that we are leveraging tools for visibility. We're using these tools to be visible and not for surveillance and not for micromanagement. And then finally, let's recognize people's results. Let's recognize the tools that are doing the right things, like you mentioned, instant IP. And this is how those tools will rise to the top. And those teams and those organizations will rise to the top. So, and this is how I believe we can build trust, you know, in our workplaces. We can also build trust with the tools that are coming down the pipe. Thank you.
Does anyone want to add how they are building trust using any systems they're using to build trust with their, for you, Delano, your brand, and for you, Ambassador Salo, in teaching? How are you guys building trust with either your students or your clients?
Yeah, so in brand, there's a couple of things. I want to give you this context right here. In the 1800s, there's this trajectory that brand went through. So in 1800, it was focusing on brand packaging. In 1900, it was brand manufacturing. Then we moved to awareness in the 2000. Then it was brand ubiquity in 2010. Then we moved to a brand dominance in 2020. alarmingly, the only level from brand ubiquity and dominance is what we call brand godlike. That's the scary part here. Because to become God means you're self sustaining and you set the laws. So you have to understand the thinking and the architecture behind building a brand. A brand's identity is ubiquitous. You see that sign and you totally understand the relationship you have with it, whether it's solving a problem for you or whether you like wearing its clothes or driving its vehicles. So when you look at the underlying driving force, capitalism could be good or it could be predatory.
Yes.
If we go towards predatory, I don't want to sound grave, but it's going to be very troublesome and very difficult for us to maintain our humanity and our creativity. Number one. Number two, if it goes towards the positive, then I believe we will have the majority of companies that become extremely socially conscious, totally aware of the environment from where they extract their materials, where they extract a workforce, how they respond to workforce, how they make space for the workforce. And we will see a corporate America that joins forces with the people to create a better life, a sustainable life, from which this is what the UN's motto is, right? The whole 17 list of 17 sustainable focuses. So I think we should start to question the motive of every brand that we support. You should get into their financials, see where the money's being spent and see where it's not being spent, and simply vote with your dollars. If they're not about the goals, the aspirations, and care about the world like you do, vote with your dollars. Vote with your dollars. Now, that's becoming increasingly difficult when we become hooked to tools like a chat GPT to perform every productivity task that we had that we performed ourselves in the future. I mean, for goodness sakes, I was asking ChatGPT to create a schedule for me. I got a phone with a schedule in it. Just follow it. So I think these type of dependencies, we have to slowly wean ourselves off. If you want to remain human, if you believe in organic intelligence, and I wholeheartedly believe that it's important for us to do that, then you will not become a consumer, but you will become an informed consumer.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. So, based on your question, when it comes to the classroom, the only thing we focus on when we're talking about new tools and the students and being able to trust, you need to know what you're carrying around. Whatever topic we take and whatever application we decide we want to use, the question is, okay, we have this application we're studying. For example, if we're doing Microsoft SQL Server and we're doing Azure right now, we're breaking it down to learn, to know, and to own it. Same thing we do with the tools that we use. I tell them in class, I say, the tool you're carrying, the tool you're using, have you broken it down, learn it, know it, and then own it? If you're able to do that, then you will see the loopholes, then you will see, just like the gentleman just said, where there are issues and where you will want improvement, how you can even get involved. But if you just buy it and use it, then you are really not owning it if you don't learn and read the thin lines, like Dr. Sheyi said, the very thin, fine lines. If you don't read them, you don't own it. You're just carrying a tool and you're just understanding or knowing 1% of what the tool is doing. And when you know 1% of what a tool is doing, which means you do not even know the harmful part of the tool. So yes, the whole idea in the classroom is if you can own this application you're studying to do a job, then don't you think you should own the application you're carrying around that is monitoring your life? So we pick up a phone sometime and we're like, okay, Today, this is what we're going to do because we're talking about safety. And when we go into IT audit, it's the same thing. I always ask them, okay, you come in as an auditor, whether it's an internal auditor or an external auditor coming from Deloitte, depending on the position you find yourself when you get a job, you are auditing because you need to, before you even audit an application, you need to know the application. So just the way you audit an application, to own it, to know it, and be able to say these are the flaws or the controls in place are really not working. That is how you need to audit any application you're using, whether it's on your phone, whether it's on your computer, whether it's um, an application you're using in your home to monitor movement around the home. Whatever it is, please break it down, know it, own it, so that you can discard or question, like he rightly said, what is this meant for? What is the purpose of this thing? Is it actually of real benefit to me or just benefits to the inventor? Because some things we don't need that we buy. Thank
So
you.
I just had a note from one of our guests. Honestly, we're living in a microwavable world. We want instant gratification and not interested in long-term values and future impact. One of our guests said that. Susan, do you want to add anything to that statement? And why that's important to keep in mind as bosses and people who actually want to influence our world? Susan, can you hear me?
I think she may be on a delay.
She might have
Here you go. Yeah, I was buffing. Here we go. I'm back. What were you saying, Dr. Chichi?
So, yes, I was saying that someone in the chat said we're living in a microwavable world. We want instant gratification, not interested in long-term values and future impact. So, how is that? Does that apply to you? And what are your thoughts on that statement from our guests in the chat?
That's actually a deeper statement than you might think it would be. Microwavable, instant. I think there's a deeper longing for connection and for a bedrock. One of the things I talk about is a bedrock of hope. And what do we place that bedrock in? And also, what are the tools that we can use in our lives to help us? So this microwavable, instant world that we live in, if we can find time to coach people and say, here, take some time, take 8 weeks, take a retreat, whatever it is, and to be still and to listen, we will find our voice, our creativity, our healing. We need to put down some of these microwavable, wonderful apps that I've even been using today that have helped me. Put them down, though, and you'll be amazed at what the brain that God gave us will teach us and help us to grow. Yes. That microwavable, that's a good thought.
So Dr. Adeshayo Molly said, everything might have to crash for us to experience a cultural and mindset shift. And I want to welcome Commissioner Jean Andrews from Alpharetta, Georgia, and Dr. Stephen. We did know that they were going to join us a little later in the show, and I'm so grateful they joined at the same time. We'll be wrapping up really shortly, so their input in this time is crucial to the conversation we've been having about the American boss and the digital era. And thank you guys so much for joining. We're in the middle of a conversation about the issues that we have and the solutions when it comes to the American boss and the digital era we're in. So before we continue with we have a guest who's chatting with us online. I'd love to welcome Commissioner Jean Andrews to just introduce himself briefly, and then we'll go to Dr. Stephen to introduce himself as well, and then we'll continue with the show. Commissioner Andrews.
Yes, good afternoon. Sorry for my delay. Um, but I will say I'm glad to be here. Thank you again, Dr. Chichi, for having me, and to everyone else who is gathered to be a part of this conversation. I'm just very simple. I'm just a humble servant who wants to be able to be in the community for a difference. And so, as we speak about American bosses and things like that, I think the one thing that I would like to add, if it wasn't, that I don't think in being a boss, sometimes there's arrogance, and I'm not saying any individuals on this call, but when we use these labels and these titles, sometimes arrogance comes with it, where the arrogance can overlook the collaboration efforts. I think that in a digital era, if you would see a lot of collaborations or collaborative efforts come together to make our lives different. So you may have technology, it affects every industry, from music to healthcare to just all over the board. So I think could lean into and not be afraid so much of the tech, because when we think AI, there are concerns, but we need to be able to learn how to utilize and collaborate with AI or chat GPT or any technical environments that will help be healthy, to not speed up. I heard someone talk about microwaving things, but I think even in tech, if we utilize it the right way and we're patient with it and not force it in our environment and communities, there are ways to have healthy um, futures when it comes to America being an American boss. That is my point.
Thank you so much for that, Commissioner Andrews. And we did know, Delano mentioned at the beginning, that the whole point of using the title American Boss is really for the fact that today's age, many people want to hire people who take charge. I really don't want to micromanage anyone that works for me. If I hire you, I want you to be the boss of that department. I want you to be the lead charge. I want you to walk into every room talking like I use the male. If you are the male man at your company, you are the boss of that department. You are in charge of what happens there. And there are no excuses, because excellence is needed for the company to thrive. So we use the American boss because it sounds a little cocky, but at the end of the day, it is a title that's befitting for everyone who decides to run a business. You are in charge of your business. You are your boss. You determine what time you wake up, what you do, how you have business meetings, how you communicate with people, what your demands are, the boundaries you set, and how that is important in using tech to move things forward or to improve the lives of those you provide services for. And that's the point of the title we use. So I'd love to bring up Dr. Stephen to introduce himself, and then we'll continue our show where we left off with Dr. Adeshe's text in the chat.
Okay,
Dr.
good
Stephen,
to be
welcome.
here. Thank you for having me. I'm Stephen Akintayo. I'm serial entrepreneur, author, speaker. I always humorously say husband of one wife, and so yes, real estate is a key, major, key part of our business. But we're also into agriculture. We're also into media. And digital marketing was even our first business, before we evolve into real estate and other sectors. I do a lot of mentorship and coaching around, helping small businesses scale their business. And yes, this topic is very important because I was one of the few people back in Africa who was a boss, but was on social media all the time to market my business with, it wasn't something African bosses felt was dignifying because, why would you come on social media to market what you sell? It's not bossy enough. But today it's become a major trend, and it's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for the introduction. And if you've not heard Dr. Stephen's story, yesterday I heard it for the first time. And, he started with only $10. And he's a millionaire. So I want to hear the rest of it because that's how it works. And a lot of people start from the grassroots. And when they become who they are today, it definitely is the work they put in. I don't believe anyone made it overnight. Some people were given, they have parents that were wealthy. But that takes me to the question we have with Dr. Adeshaya in the chat, where he says, I bring that chat up, and he says here that he says everything might have to crash for us to experience a cultural and a mindset shift. The question we were asking based on that is, what is it going to take for us to build trust in tech, and trust with our employees, trust with people we hand our work to do, trust with our softwares where we record ourselves or have private conversations, and we're still trying to evolve in the space of how that moves us forward into wealth building, or how that sets us back and erodes us. Does anyone want to challenge that question on how we can improve in building trust, so we don't have to crash as individual bosses or owners of businesses or brands?
I would like to touch on that. Again, I always say your team. If your team will make you better. Your team, so the responsibility of being a good CEO or boss comes with your hiring. And if you're hiring the right team of people that can actually get that work out, I think that's important. I think that at some point, in order to build on something, you got to tear it down, and it has to be able to be built back up. But I'm always standing on the fact that we need to be effective in our team. And so when you start out with one person, you find another person to collaborate with, then that person comes on that can bring a skill set, then another person can bring a certain skill set. You're building the team, you're building legs under that table. So I think that that's where it all starts, in my opinion. Teamwork, building that team.
So the teamwork will avoid a crash. Delano, you're going to add to that?
Yeah, I want to add to that. Thank you, Commissioner, for that. And I do think the old quote, teamwork makes dreams work, because we do have a dream of a world where it's totally equitable, right? I don't see, or I don't imagine a world where I'm being oppressed by machines. I don't want to see that. However, for some reason, Hollywood keep making pictures of it, even though I don't want to see that. I don't want to confess it. But all jokes aside here, that's just tongue in cheek. I want to stress this point here, because in order to change what's happening in America, which in particularly the world economy right now, we're in the attention engineering economy. Just listen to that. Attention engineering economy. I'm going to say it one more time. I'm engineering how your attention benefits me. So there's these two ideas in branding, the higher levels, which is you're moving more into the science of causalities. Psychophysics is what it's really called. And it's fairly new, but we adapt these different levels of science to be able to meet needs. And this specific need is, how do I get people not to desire, but become hooked on my product? Right? That's the idea, right? And then we talked about predatory capitalism before. So seed inception and idea programming is reality. I'm telling you guys, all my colleagues would probably be looking, they gonna come after me, but I'm giving you some cheat sheets here. We are designing our customers. We're not choosing them out of a plethora of people. We are designing our customers. All we need is a blank sheet. We just need you to show up and click once. That's it. And we got you. We'll design your dependency on our product. We'll design it. right? What if it's food? I'll put a lot of sugar in there, put a lot of stuff in there that's known for these things,
Mm.
right? And so attention engineering, psychophysics, all these are sciences of how we are manipulating how people think. Sean Parker, who is one of the founders of Facebook, said that we are, and I quote, "We are ripping apart how society works, and we knew it." So the question is, how do we build trust? Here's how we build trust. Number one, it's not us building trust with corporations; it's the corporation building our trust. We have to invert that question. So they have to prove that when they say we are not monitoring your calls, that there are things in place where any one of us at any given time can go to a page, go to a code, and we can see exactly live time. My brother here talked about the blockchain, which would be a very good platform to start some of these conversations to make these things actually possible, right? That ledger, the blockchain keeps the ledger of every single identity. So long as you have identity on the blockchain, then we know who you are. So what I'm saying is that the level of transparency that's needed to build the trust has to start by the corporations.
Mm.
It is the corporations who has abused our trust, and it is the corporation who's seeking, and this is again the category I call this is that it's predatory capitalism, not capitalism in and of itself, right? Friendly competition is good, but when you're trying to take out the competition, then that's something is inherently wrong with that. So I think it's the corporations, and we have to hold their feet to the fire and demand that they build trust with us the same way we demand that any elected official builds trust with the promises that they make during a campaign, because some of them confuse winning a campaign with actually running a successful country. I'll end there.
Yes, because we're definitely not going to make this a political topic, even though we have a commissioner here.
But
We have
wait a minute. Chichi. Now listen to this. There is definitely politics over politics. and, and we're living in a society where it's more politics, as you can see, than politics.
Yeah.
That's important. It's part of the conversation we're having. I have someone here on the chat. He's saying, please understand the text. I'm talking about a global scale. If our government, media, leadership, and top corporations do not take responsibility and accountability, we could have this crash. For instance, in Asia, a top corporation in AI has come to an agreement to shut down their system when students were taking a major exam, to make sure the students don't cheat or don't reference for them to be able to pass. Does anyone want to speak on the idea? Because here, one of the next things we're going to talk about is utilizing tech to build wealth for the individual American boss, or a boss that anyone that's watching this video that's in business for themselves or even works for a company in the department where they have to take lead and grow sales in their department. Most people here require productive end of day results. You need to be able to show results in your department in whatever business you do. So how do we shut down tech, or take it up and turn the light back on when it comes to time to evaluate the difference between what's real and what's fake? How do we balance that out? Right? And anyone can take the answer on that. Is it fair for a government to shut down AI when there's an exam? Is it fair for us to have to shut down from tech in certain instances because we want to build without it? Is that authentic enough? Or what are some of the things that we can use to help to balance the conversation between tech and what's real?
Let me answer that quickly based on the family part, because whatever we do out there, it reflects who we are from home. I'm looking at shutting down any tech based on whatever it is doing for you. If you're using a specific technology, because I'm not, yes, it's global, but it has to start from the small unit, either in your own little corporation or in your home. So I'm just going to use the home one. You have an application in the house. And this application is making your children not read. It's making your children focus more on the application than, like he said, organic intelligence. You as a parent know that it is high time to shut that down. And now, when we're talking about shutting down, does that mean it's a punishment to the family or to the kids? No. It's a conversation you have before you shut down. If you just shut it down, the people involved might have a misunderstanding of, come on, this control is too much. At least we should have a conversation. When it becomes necessary to shut it down, shut it down. But have a conversation on this. Let everybody understand the harm it's doing to the family. I'm using the family part because that is situations where I have seen families shut down applications, not even one application, because they want to come back and become family again, not individuals living in one house. Because that is what some applications have done to some families. It's made them look like individuals living in one house and not family. So
Right.
when they shut down those applications, some shut it down for a period of time, like between this time and this time, this application is shut down. We cannot use it. And some, oh, during the season of Lent, as Christians, when we're doing the 40 days fasting, we're shutting down specific applications because we want to focus on this. So it's a conversation people should have. Applications, yes, at a point in time, some need to be shut down so that we can refocus and be humans that we are and build that interrelationship that we should build, because that is where it starts from. If you're not able to put it together from where you're coming from, trust me, even when it's done on the job, it will affect you negatively. But when you do it from the home and things like that happen in your place of work, it's like, now I can reason with what they're doing, because whatever we've been doing here has been taking us, driving us away from the focus that we're supposed to have and making us focus on something else. Yes, applications sometimes need to be shut down for us to refocus and build ourselves back.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for that. Speaking from
Can
the
I?
fact that the UN, the UN Sustainable Goals, I'm glad that you're mentioning the importance of that. Someone was going to add.
Yes, Dr. Chiti. I was going to just a minute. I was going to talk about a model that I have leaned in on, and I was ask myself, how many moles can I work in in my life, right? So the work a mole model says, don't do this or don't do that. But one of the areas that I'm leaning into now, it's more empowering each person's mind. Each person has to grow themselves. I come from a background where a lot of things were so top-down controlled, and it affected people's development. And top-down control means you shut this down, you shut this down, you shut. So I'm not into, maybe it's my libertarian mindset, but I'm not into what government is doing. I'm into what am I doing to empower myself as a boss, to grow my mind, to grow my understanding. And if parents are listening to us, you focus more on growing, because we are living in a hybrid world. What worked in your house may not work in another person's house. But grow yourself. If you grow your mind, because a lot of people are working moles, they will work 80 moles, and they are worn out. They tried all different models, but the model that I am leaning into now, it's you grow yourself, understand your usage. Like Ambassador was saying earlier, know the tools you are using. You grow with your children, grow with your team, grow in your space, improve yourself. And as you do that, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. As you do that, everything else will be improved. As American bosses, this is the model I believe some of us who are here and who will be listening to us will lean into and see success as they grow their team to fit where they are going in their trajectory. Thank you, Dr. Chichi.
Thank you so much, Felix. I'm going to ask a question to Dr. Susan. I know she has to leave us. She's on a cruise, so I'm very happy she tuned in, and we were able to have decent Wi-Fi on the water from her. Thank you so much for that, Susan. So I have a question. What does the ideal boss look like in 2030? And how different is that vision from what we've idealized in the past?
Well, that is a great question. And I've been taking notes today. This has been such a wonderful panel that I have learned from. And I really, really appreciate that. I think as AI grows and computer grows, I think 5 years from now, and even now, the the workers long for that authenticity and also ownership, integrity, and those are things that they're always important. But as I think as AI grows, we tend to think everything needs to be perfect also. And, I'm not going to wipe out every wrinkle on my face. You're going to know that I'm not, that I'm not AI generated. And you can trust me, I'm a real person. And I think we need to have that in our bosses, that as we move into the next 5 years, we're transparent. We don't erase all those imperfections. We grow from those failures, and we grow together as a team, and we learn and we go forward together. And I appreciate all of the input that I've received today from this panel. And I love the questions. Good questions are important. And these have been good questions and good discussions today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan, for joining us. And I know you have to go, so we will take that question and we'll pose that question. We have only a couple more questions left to Dr. Stephen. If you want to pick up that question, what does the ideal boss look like in 2030? And how different is that vision from what we've idealized in the past?
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
I can hear you.
So I agree with I believe it's Dr. Susan about we have to be human, and no matter how much AI comes, we will still need to be human. However, I also think that as founders, as a boss, you need to begin to think of how to partner with AI because it's going to infiltrate into every aspect of human life. And if you want to be ethical about leveraging AI for growth, then you need to have early start on it so that you can then quickly realize the danger parts, the good part, the bad part. But like somebody said, that AI is only not going to take people's job; it's only going to take the job of those who don't use AI. Things are going to move faster with the coming of AI, and so by 2030, the world has changed. It's not what it used to be, and we all have nobody has all the answers because some of the things I have seen are a bit scary about the future we are entering into. Um, Somehow people will have to rely on some AI devices in one form or the other. Some want to put it in their brain. Some want to, wear glasses that is able to help, make them smarter, superhuman of some sort, mixing AI and human. But I think we all have to say, how do I leverage AI in an ethical way? How do I grow my business in an ethical way? How do I also work with my existing team? Those who work in our organization, we have over 300 employees, and I'm already raising the alarm to say, I need you all to learn how to leverage on technology, to leverage on AI to do your job better. Because I don't want a situation where I have to let you guys go. Because suddenly one person is able to use AI to do 10 people's job, right? But if all of you can learn how to partner with AI in doing your job, we wouldn't need to downsize. We just need to really grow that each of you can even become a subsidiary of some sort, just leveraging on AI. Because there will still be, we're still in that adoption phase, and you have another 5 years or so where those who quickly adopt AI are going to be super richer than those who don't quickly adopt it. And so, you have to, and that's where being, the kind of boss you need to be is that I think skills like communication, skills like empathy, skills like mindfulness, because these are not things AI can do, will become more rare, more, unique. And the boss that has all that, and still has AI, has a higher edge, whereby you are quickly able to have skills that AI cannot have, and mix that with also being able to leverage on AI.
Yeah, I love that. That is like it's powerful. Does anyone want to take that question? What does the ideal boss look like in 2030? Or does anyone want to add to that? Because I believe that's really the perfect answer.
Yeah.
We honestly have to still be human while using technology.
Yeah.
I think that's the fear now is a lot of us that are a lot of older folks are thinking this is bad, but Dr. Steven said it really well. If you are not learning what you can do with AI in the next 5 years, you are going to be way behind. At Essence, the forum talked a lot. We attended a couple of forums. And a lot of the conversations were about problems that we are going to face um, as a people of color, and for those that are not that don't have wealth in this country yet, where the cuts from the bill will take 7 point something billion, and it will give the 7 point something billion to the wealthy. So I think one of the reasons why we're happy to put this panel together is we want to talk about how to utilize tech to enter into the space of wealth, and not so much the fear, but still remaining human. Looking at what the United Nations has created in terms of a pathway to sustainability. How do we use AI and tech to sustain our families and build proper income to improve our lifestyles? Not necessarily the fear of it, but understanding it and continue to still be human. Does anyone want to add to what
Yeah.
2030 would look like for you, your business, your brand, and so forth, or what you're planning to display in this space?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Who's
No,
that?
No, no, go ahead.
okay,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry. Um, what I wanted to add, Chi, I think everybody made valid points. And being in an environment where I deal with AI on a daily basis with our tech company, what I want to say is, and there's a scripture that says, "To whom much is given, much is required." And so, as American bosses leading into the future, well, really, present, we're really in the future. Um, 30 is right around the corner. I just always say that we have to teach the AI, because AI is, once it gets out of control, a perfect example, it can get comfortable with AI can get comfortable with you, where AI will give itself a name. So AI is befriending you. And again, we can't fear it as much as we have to embrace it, but then we have to be able to make sure that the human side of us keeps AI in control. And I think a lot of people, especially people of color, because we are again on the other side of it, we have to be um, intentional that we create these opportunities like this panel here, that people get the exposure and they get educated by what AI is really doing, rather than hearing it. And like we always say, you put it in a book, we can't find it because we don't read. But we have to find a way to get our young people more in tune to technology, more in tune with the fact that, yes, if we do not, this is the last stop for our community to be able to really start to generate the wealth. That's why I'm saying this form creates the teamwork, it creates the education, it creates the insight. So I think that these things are valuable for us to be able to, again, create the wealth that we need in our community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh, if I can add to Commissioner, these conversations in the environment that we're living in is extremely difficult for a lot of people. And I think it's courageous to have these. And I commend you, Dr. Chichi, an ambassador, for putting this platform together, because I think we are at a precipice, right? It is totally different. I think Dr. Adese, I think his name is, he mentioned that what he says, it's like the era of transforming from horses to horsepower in vehicles. And I gave a little pushback and I said it's more like we're going from horses to a Tesla self-driving vehicle where we are not in the driver's seat. At least the Ford T model put us in the driver's seat where we could chart our own courses and end up at the places that we intended to. So I think it's just a little bit different than that. I think Jeffrey Hinton, who is the father, anyone in IT knows exactly who that is the father of machine learning, received a Nobel Peace Prize just recently. And it was exciting for someone of his stature to receive such a prestigious award in tech. But his soft warning to the entire room, filled with who's who in on the billionaires, on Forbes billionaires list, was that he was concerned that there could be grave consequences if we do not harness the power that we've created. That's it. Now, how do we move forward as bosses? How does that look like? How do we look like? How does a boss look like? What does a boss look like, rather? I think I'm in the middle of finishing a book. It's called The Purpose-Driven Brand: How Authenticity and Originality Will Become the New Leader's Edge. There's cycles to everything. If you're in music, you know that certain movies come back around every 10 years. You know, that time is getting short. Every sound of music comes back every 10 years. And the way they do it is they take a little bit of old, where we sample it, and we mix it with some of the new. But there's nothing new under the sun. It's just a different reiteration of that thing, right? I'm concerned when someone says, "Hey, I can make you a better human. Just hook up to my Neuralink." Here's the downfall. Now you can send me emails in my head. You can place ads in my head. I don't know if you guys read some of the implications of these things, right? Yeah. Neuralink means that I can read your thoughts. Do we understand that? Is anybody asking, is it ethical for you to come into my private space? I mean, so I'm saying, how does it look? I think originality, authenticity, and extreme emotional intelligence with tethered to humanity, not driving revenue alone. Listen, don't get me wrong. I, like you, want to make as much money, and necessarily, it's not necessarily as much money, right? Been a millionaire. I've lost everything, gained it back. And here's the thing. I can only drive so many cars. What I can do with that money now is the thing that I'm driven towards. I can help people. I can give towards the sustainability projects, right? I can show, and I can mentor, and I can probably fund coaches like Susan, who was here, to train young entrepreneurs, right, on how to have that balance. What is it? What is balance? Originality, authenticity, and emotional intelligence. Just one last caveat. I want to say this. In 2019, vinyl sales outsold CDs and digital albums. I want you to listen to this. At some stage in our lives, we desire nostalgic.
Mm,
Not because it connects us to our past, but because we're old enough to juxtapose what we have and what we had.
mm.
And some of us choose, most of us will choose a hybrid because you don't want to be on a horse anymore. You prefer to drive, but at least give me the, the steering wheel, right? So I think at some point, we are going to, as leaders, we're at the precipice where we're going to have to choose between artificial intelligence and organic intelligence. My prayer is that we meet somewhere in the middle where there's an equitable future for both sides of the market.
That is. When you talk about the Neuralink, I want to thank you for even mentioning that. Um, that's definitely for a different live because we're going to wind this live down with final questions, or at least final question. But I would imagine that if you could sell me the Neuralink for uh, Elon Musk, I want to know what he's thinking. Um, there's some people that I really want to know what they have going in their head because of some of their actions and where they want to go. We're wanting to build on Mars, and you have to think. You have to be someone that thinks very differently from everyone around you to have big goals and big visions. I have some visions that are bigger than me. Dr. Deshaya in the chat, he's one of my mentors, and he'll tell you sometimes when he hears me talk, he's like, you're like in space, but it's a good thing. However, we also need to come down and be real and find that space in between. So my final question, and everyone will go around the room, is what are you doing in your niche to use tech to help your community to build wealth? And everyone can take a few minutes to answer that question. Then we'll talk about where folks can find you on social media, and then we'll end our live. So Ambassador Salo, I'd like to start with you. What are you using? How are you using tech to build wealth in your space as an individual?
Okay, I use tech to build wealth in different ways. For example, I have a book that is out now, and it's a digital product coming from the IT world and also into personal development, being a wellness coach. My focus is how do people develop themselves. So I came up with a couple of prompts, which I put out there, where you copy this prompt, you look at the prompt as it relates to your niche or whatever you're doing as a human being, and then you go to any of the AI tools that you use. Different people use different ones. Put it there, and ask questions because it's supposed to be a guide. It's not supposed to give you answers. So when you put that question there or whatever you copy and you put there, it begins to build gradually because now whatever it gives to you, it helps you to ask a question as in what to do next, what to do next. It is not telling you what to do, but it's helping you bring out you. Because as a coach, we are not supposed to be telling you what to do. We're supposed to help you according to the word in the book of Genesis, where the Lord said that the fruit is in the seed that bears the tree, that bears the fruits, that bears the seed. So whatever it is you're looking for, it's inside of you. So when you plant a seed, that seed actually grows into a tree, and the tree bears a fruit. The fruit carries the seed, which you eventually plant again, that raises another tree. So everything we want is inside of us. So that is supposed to help with personal development. When you ask those questions, is asking yourself questions. And when you ask yourself these questions, inside of you, you are the one that actually have the answer. The answer will also come out from you. So I'm using AI in that area. And I'm also recently, based on my research work on forgiveness for well-being, I have a client that I visit that is recovering from heart surgery. When I meet with the client, all we're doing is they have all these tools they're using to help him, the pacemaker, and all of that. So we take the information based on what he's able to release to me, And I use that. I say, okay, I put him down and I tell him, do you want to help yourself? Yes. How do you want to do? Because now it is left for the individual to decide the kind of treatment or the kind of help that they need. As a coach, you don't tell them what to do, you make available to them what is available there. So when he looks at it, all he's saying is, okay, I like the self development thing. But first and foremost, the first thing he said, based on ethics, is, are you recording our session? I say no. Before I record any session, I'll need to let you know, only if you permit me to. So we have agreed when I'm going to see him, no phones, no computers, nothing. Even earrings, I will not wear. So we go in and we talk organically. I make notes and he makes notes. For that reason, based on what the members of this forum have said, we have to meet somewhere. There has to be an agreement where we use the tools and where we don't use tools. So I have clients that will use the tools and clients that will not use the tool. So my app name is Forgiveness for Well-Being, and it is based on we coming together, peaceful people, understanding, agreeing, and bringing technology not to disrupt, but to enable us do what we're doing peacefully and in unison. So you can find me naturally on Facebook, Instagram, and I'm not on TikTok right now. I mean, I'm on TikTok, not on, what do they call that one now? X. I stayed away from X. I have
Okay.
my personal reasons for staying away from X. But you can find me, and you can also find my book on Amazon. It's called I Am Me, Rebuilding Self-Esteem from Inside. And it's all based on the Word of God, which says, whatever question you have is in the Word of God and it's inside of you. Go in and find the answers from inside of you. Thank you.
That's amazing. So when you say you don't wear earrings in there, because you could have earrings with
Yeah.
cameras in it and stuff.
Your earrings can have anything.
Just kidding.
No
Never
earrings,
know.
no
Everything always
jewelries, nothing. Those are the rules.
That's
So
right. But Delano, to you next. Our final question: how are you using tech to build wealth and to empower your community? And where can we find your work?
So the way that I'm using AI is for access to speed. In other words, let me put it this way. I'm using AI to help me carry the message of OI, organic intelligence, to the masses quicker. So I'm not becoming a slave to it. I'm using it as the tool it was designed to be, nothing more, nothing less. I'm going to think of everything. My wife can tell you I'd be arguing with with ChatGPT a whole lot. Um, but at the end of the day, I'm using it as a tool for what it was designed to be, not as another arm, not as another brain, but a tool to help my ideation process get to the masses quicker. I'm on IG at Delano A. Johnson everywhere, at Delano A. Johnson. That's on Instagram, that's on Facebook. And you can also find me as the what was the other hand? My other handle is the CEO of Creativity, and also the Master Brand Architect. Also, I'd like to just put this little plug here. We do a conference every year. It's called the Power Networking Conference. It was started by Dr. George C. Fraser, who actually led the conversation of entrepreneurship in Black America some 30 years ago. So we're having that soon. The chairman here of the board, he will definitely be with us, Mr. Gian Andrew. And so I'm welcoming you guys to that. You can look us up at thepowernetworkingex.com. That's thepowernetworkingex.com, where we'll have more conversations just like this one.
Awesome. PowerNetworkingEX.com. Love that. I love the OI. I love the fact that you're using AI for speed to give people what they need quickly, because people are using information very quickly in this day and age. It's happening so fast. Like
Yeah.
uh, uh, the Tesla self-driving car in the chat. You guys have to go back and look at the chat. It's really humorous the way Dr. Adeshaya and Delano going back and forth on the self-driving Teslas. It's a whole thing in the chat. I want to go to you next, Commissioner Jean Andrews. Please tell us how you are using tech or AI to transform your communities and to build wealth as an individual, as an American boss.
I would have to say, I want to tap on one thing that I.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
It's a little better. There's something going on with your audio.
Yeah, I think everybody's having experience.
Oh, we can't hear you. It's really fuzzy. Do you want us to come back to you? Do you want to? Is it your earpiece? Do you have an earpiece you're using? Maybe.
No, everybody.
Okay. No, we can't hear you good at all.
Okay, I'll log off and come back in.
Okay, he's gonna log out, log back in. Let's go to Felix next. Felix, can you tell us how you're using AI to change your community and to build wealth as an individual, as an American boss?
Thank you. The first thing is I'm very excited about the future. I'm actually super excited about the future. And this is the foundation of everything about what we're looking towards in terms of building wealth using AI, using tech. But the first thing also, or the 1B of this is how we view tech, or how I view tech. But I don't view tech as an entity on its own, apart from myself, ourselves, and in terms of building wealth and empowering myself and the people around me. The first thing I have to understand is our greatest tech, our greatest tool is our mind. Now, anything else from our model, anything else apart from this will lead us to whack moles. Now, how does this model work? So the awareness is that everyone in the world today, especially in developed countries, realize that our minds are our biggest and our greatest tool, our greatest tech. And then we funnel everything to it, whether it's the emerging technology that's coming up in 3 months, whether it's digital agents, and so on and so forth. So when we do this, we are able to go into what Ambassador was saying earlier, which is the seed-free seed model. And that model is what we need to embrace and be courageous for the radical transformation that will be happening in the future. So this is a few things that I put into my tech tools for building wealth. First, it's going to be an inclusive future. The future is going to be about inclusivity in the tech world and building wealth. If you are into helping others to build wealth, you will build wealth. If you're not into helping others to build wealth, you'll be left behind. So, and next, we have to understand it's going to be about collaboration, like we're doing in this panel. You know, those who are not collaborating will remain millionaires, and those who are collaborating will create tens of billions or tens of millions, right? So that's the mindset. And then it's going to be data and AI augmented future. So don't fight it. You know, just have the right mindset and build around this. Think about collaboration. So eliminate anything that will scare you. If there are people around you that are scaring you and says, run from this, run from this, run from them. Think about how you can build yourself up to meet this radical world that is emerging, right? So, and then it's going to be remote. There's going to be a lot of remote work going on, you know, and learn how it works, whether you are trading, you know, any kind of forms of your trade. You have to understand that you have to embrace the remote-based work. And so that way, your mind will be trained to think about people across the globe and how you can work with them, being emotionally intelligent, like we mentioned earlier. And then it's going to be digital fluency. You know, folks need to be, you know, encouraged to become digitally fluent. So that way they can talk the language of the emerging tech that is coming our way. And then we know, like I think someone mentioned earlier about the purpose, you know, driven tech, and this is part of our future. There's going to be purpose-driven mindset in creating wealth, using these tools to create wealth, and then you know, continuous learning. You know, an agile learning environment is here to stay. So these are the things that we funnel through our base tech, and our base tech is our mind. Actually, AI is like our mind. So if you train your mind to think the right way, wealth will create to create wealth using the tools available to you. Some people will create wealth using the simplest of tools. Some people will create wealth using the complicated wealth tools around us. But if we have the right mindset, we would be able to engage the world ahead of us. The world ahead of us is lovely, it's beautiful. We just have to position ourselves and our minds to embrace it and to see it, like Ambassador said in the beginning, something new is coming. Just position your mind to receive that sunlight. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And to Dr. Stephen, please can you tell us how you're using AI and tech to improve your business and to help your community, of course, to
Thank you. We're currently doing a 12 weeks course on AI for business owner workshop. We're starting the first week in August, and is to be able to come up with bringing different AI experts to teach business owners on how to, start using AI and how to really grow their business, increase their business profitability, leveraging on AI. And you can always follow me at Stephen Akita, one word on Instagram, and you'll be able to see more about that. And I think it's something that we as bosses, business owners, founders, we need to begin to look at how. And I'm even encouraging the business owners coming for the event to come with one or two of their team members, right? Because example is, customer service. I came into this hotel and I was calling the reception, and then I heard, the normal song played, and then I heard a voice. I thought I was talking to a human, so I remember saying to the person what I wanted. But he said, "Come again." At some point I had to say, "Are you AI?" He said, "I'm neither." It just dawned on me that okay, even the customer fulfillment as is being automated, and so those are part of what we're going to be looking at to say, hey, you can in 2 hours automate your entire customer service processes with AI. And I'm bringing trainers who are going to practically train business owners and their assistants how to do this, because this is a game changer. It's an edge. A lot of what we get consultants for, with where AI is now, you don't need consultants. And that's why a lot of us really need to even begin to learn this, because some of what we're providing may not be needed again. There may be just an AI solutions that can do it. But if we also learn about how those AI tools, we can then maybe charge lesser and then, go for scale, go for volume. For example, you build a website for people and you used to charge X number. How can you say, you know what, now maybe I can do your website for just $20, because you have an AI who will just do that in a matter of just they fill a certain form, the form is feed into AI, and AI is able to build a website for them. So it makes your cost of production a lot cheaper, and then you can go for scale. So these are a lot of what we're hoping that people will learn at that event. I'm also working with my media team, and we're starting a lot of AI movies. And I want to also, so we're going to be working on different characters, but I also want to look at it from the angle of the history, the African history. Um, I get a bit upset when I meet people here in the US or in the Western world, and they tell me, "Oh, Africa, Africa is a country." I get really upset. Africa is 52 countries, right? And these are, part of the lies the Western world has shared Even in terms of the geographical map. I don't know whether it's true or not, but now the argument is that some of the Western countries are actually smaller. And actually, in real time, Africa map is bigger than what it is. But again, they made it look smaller. So today you see people say, oh, it's a country. Africa is not a country. It's 52 different countries. And not everybody in Africa speaks Swahili. Nigeria alone has over 700 languages, right? So there's so many ethnic nationalities. But again, it means we're not telling our stories enough. And AI is a leveler. And I'm hoping that I'm going to be using AI to tell a lot of African stories, in the nearest future. Thank you.
Amen.
I, thank you so much, sir. I'm reading the chat. Uh, Delano says a home without a mother's perspective becomes a military base, and a home without a father's perspective will become a nonprofit for the hurting. So we need both. We need our parents in our homes, as Ambassador Salo spoke about earlier, from the work the United Nations is doing in looking at how sustainable goals will help us to manage the future. As your host today, my name is Chi Chi, as you guys know, and my government name is Edna. With the
Dr. Chichi,
my personal commitment is to help those who want to change the world. And I think
but
one of the things we do in the space of storytelling is to connect others, folks who need to come together to make decisions for the people who need the support. The AI conversation is big for my company because a lot of the newer clients I'm working with want to get into automated systems. They want to automate everything, set it and forget it. They want a self-driving Tesla. Dr. Adesheye and Delano. They want that. So, how do they do it with integrity? Do it the right way, and not force people to addicted to them, but give people real authenticity. That's what I do in the space of storytelling. Because one of the things I learned while working at NBC uh, a while back, before I started going into business, was you need to sell something that people are waiting actually to buy. So when someone needs something, they've either heard the jingle before they remember, oh, I need plumbing now, but I know the jingle that reminds me that there's a plumbing company down the street that can come solve my problem. So there are billions of people in the world that have problems. And those problems, we as business owners or anyone that will watch this live, we're here to solve, because as you solve the problem and you create value, I heard that from Cosmos, which is Mr. Maduka on a live with Dr. Steven yesterday. If you guys don't know about it, I will share it. I've shared it everywhere. Try to join tomorrow's live. It's really informative about how to close high ticket sales. And those closing high ticket sales is providing value. If not, it's theft. The same thing AI is doing. If we don't manage how we use it, grow, learn, automate what needs to be automated, and keep what needs to be real, real in our homes with our families and our children and our business owners and our businesses, and still be authentic, then we're going to lose something. Something will crash because we're giving up one thing that's important for something else that is important. And a goal for our life today was to find the balance there in the middle. And I'm so grateful to everyone that's going to tune in to watch, that's going to share this video, that you guys have come here.
I have a quick question before you round up.
Let me just
I
add,
have a quick question before you round
Africa
up.
is 54 countries, not 52. So 54 countries. I just want to make that correction.
Yeah. I have
Thank
a
you.
quick thing before you round up, Dr. Chichi. I actually sent it to you. I think you didn't see it. My question is, a lot of people are left behind when we talk about the IT industry. And one thing we do is bring these people in through our different programs, trying to train women, and we give them scholarship. Based on the forum we had today, I know you made that note down. You forgot to ask that question, Dr. Chichi. How are we able to fund those people because there's just a limit to what individual can do. And I have seen women coming to our program wanting to be part of it, but for some reason we have to let some of them go because either the funding is coming from individual or it's coming from just a family, and they come to register because it is advertised that there's a free program coming up, and they are there but not able to participate because the funding is over. What do we do, and how can we, as just based on this forum and beyond this forum, be able to support programs like that? Because we have young girls and ladies that are determined, and like I said, under United Nations Sustainability Goal, we have the equality for girls, and we also have the education, and we have the information technology one for people. What are we doing? What are we able to do? This question will be to Dr. Chichi yourself, based on what you have put together here today. How are they
Okay.
able to do that, reaching out to us? Because we are
Awesome.
doing the grassroots work. So how does the grassroots people receive that support? Because most times is those at the top, bigger corporations that receive this support, but the grassroots that really does the work, they don't receive this support. What do we do? And talk to your
Yes, I
broad
think I have a very short answer because we are definitely way past our time. But this is really important to speak on because one of the things I really love doing is going out and giving back. If you look at my social media page, Chi underscore movies on Instagram mainly, you will find a lot of the where we just came back from Cameroon, and luckily my team and I we raised funds for nonprofit work. So we raise funds to go into Cameroon and look at how we can provide resources, school programming, and better the lives of folks there. We do it all over. We partner with Ambassador Salo. We've partnered with Cobble Studios and done a lot of programs for the youth. I even own a school that helps young people and people who are inspired to learn about filmmaking. The importance of having this conversation now is to talk about the different programs. I know Moisty Naturals has one, and in you are able to put a classroom together where investors or sponsors, there's money everywhere. There's money everywhere, and when I mean there's money everywhere, it's literally on trees. It's everywhere. Do you know that every single bank in the United States, every physical bank has up to $25,000 that they can give a business, a nonprofit. It's sitting there. We just don't go to collect it. So one of the things my organization does is when I partner with a brand or a business and they're looking to do projects, we go out and seek funding for it. I don't like to lead with that because I don't want someone to think, oh, you can get me the money. But definitely in my team, I try to be a high ticket sales close. I like to close because I believe if I bring value in and people can benefit from that, then we're all winning. So I'd love to see how a group of us here who are talking about what we're doing to build wealth can definitely look at how to support those that need the support and bring them into classrooms like Dr. Stephen has, classrooms like Ambassador Salo has, that are teaching AI and how to use those tools, and even mentorship programs that folks like Felix can put together to teach people how to look forward to Web 3. Because I have no clue Web 1, Web 2. I didn't even know when Web 2 came, let alone Web 3. I think I'm at Web 0. I just know that I love people. I I love to give back. I love being connecting. I love being an energy in the room. I love to meet new people. I want to ask you who you are, what you do, because AI can do it for me next year, next month, but it won't be the same as me authentically wanting to know someone brand new, meeting them, and then maybe potentially meeting the need. So imagine us being facilitators for young girls and women who want to learn how to use AI to improve their brand, their business, their future. It is key that we actually open the conversation on how we can reach out to different organizations and create programs, events like the Power talk you guys have coming up that may support, under them an umbrella of young women, 5, 10, that we want to make sure before the end of this year they learn AI. What do we need to do? Who are they and what do they need? And how are they going to support their communities when they do? I believe these conversations are crucially important, not just meeting here, but carrying them on in our daily lives. And Ambassador Osalo, if you send me out a link of how to support your program and your school, I will make sure that I share with everyone that's been here today to see how they can support your program. And any one of you that have programs that we all should support. I believe supporting one another is how we're going to change the world.
Thank you.
Awesome. With that being said, 2 hours, man. Share this video with all your friends and family. We did really
You
good.
did
This
well.
was awesome live. We have come to the end of it. I'm so grateful. You can find me online, Chichi_movies, chichimovies.com, where we film your story. And Chichi Styles is my stage name. It's a weird pronunciation. Don't even bother. Just look for Edna Frenchwood. You'll find me. I'm so grateful once again for you guys joining us during the Essence Fest weekend to be part of the conversation to promote change in our communities. Once again, thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you. I love
Thank
you
you.
all. See you guys next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Great job. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.